Technology has created such amazing opportunities for us. We have unlimited access to news, information, entertainment right at our fingertips at any given moment. We're able to connect with people all over the world, but most of us find ourselves wasting a huge amount of time online. We're constantly checking social media, watching videos, playing games, and are losing the ability to communicate in person. There's no denying that we're getting more and more addicted to these devices, but have you wondered what effect this is having on your mind and body? There are many studies that show a correlation with increased rates of depression in people who spend a lot of time on computers. Computers can ruin sleep habits and affect us in other ways mentally. That's not to say that technology causes depression, but there is much evidence to suggest that technology can actually worsen depression. Over-engaging in websites that seek to replace normal social functions is linked to psychological disorders like depression and addiction. Here are some reasons as to why the internet might be ruining your life. Thanks to smartphones, you're able to access the internet everywhere you go. But heavy cell phone use has shown an increase in sleep disorders and an increase in depressive symptoms. A combination of both heavy computer use and heavy mobile use make the associations even stronger. Data shows that those who use their smartphones more frequently are prone to moodiness, materialism, and temperamental behavior, and are less able to focus their attention on the task at hand. Much like most substance addictions, smartphone addiction may be an attempt at mood repair. Incessant checking of social media, sending texts, tweeting, and surfing the web may act as pacifiers for the unstable individual, distracting him or herself from the worries of the day and providing temporary solace from such concerns. Social media allows us to stay connected with friends and family, to share information and to stay on top of the news. But for many people, visiting websites like Facebook can result in a negative mood shift. It presents us with fake, edited, and unrealistic ideas of how others are living their lives. As you see the highlights on other people's timelines, you may feel envious, which can lead to depression. The hyperconnectedness of social media is also a problem, particularly when users start feeling anxious whenever they have to disconnect from their social bubbles. You know it's bad when people have to come up with terms to describe this, including FOMO, fear of missing out, and nomophobia, fear of being without your phone. Technology drains your energy. Computers keep us engaged late in the evening. They make it hard to detach from work so we can relax and fall asleep. The artificial blue light, which is the most disruptive of all colors of light that is emitted from screens, disrupts sleep and prevents deep, restorative sleep. Exposure to blue light at night mimics the effect of the sun and tricks the body into thinking it should still be awake. It stops the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy and regulates our circadian rhythm. Good news is, there are apps such as Flux you can download that help remove blue light and its negative effects. Digital information overload. When we subject ourselves to information overload, our brains actually adapt to it by learning to expect that kind of constant stimulation. That's why, when you step away from the internet, life feels so slow and boring. Information overload isn't just about the amount of data we have to process, but also the variety of data that we have to sort through. Because the brain grows accustomed to overstimulation, we start looking for things that are new, things we've never seen before. When overload is chronic, you live in a state of unresolved stress and anxiety that you can't meet ongoing demands to process more information. Another area of the internet that tends to worsen depression is gaming. Obviously, it's possible to play and enjoy games in moderation, but many people struggle with video game addiction. Video games are a form of escapism. For some, this is a way to escape personal responsibilities or to distract from the unpleasant aspects of real life, such as one's general state of unhappiness. Mindless grinding on the frequent dopamine hits in a competitive game may provide temporary relief, but it's just another distraction. When gaming turns into an addiction, it can cause relationship problems, damage self-esteem, physical and mental deterioration, and feelings of shame and regret. Porn. Just like other addictive substances, porn floods the brain with dopamine. But since the brain gets overwhelmed by the constant overload of chemicals that comes with consistent porn use, it fights back by taking away some of its dopamine receptors. As a frequent porn user's brain acclimates to the new levels of dopamine flooding through it, regular activities that would normally set off a burst of dopamine and make the person feel happy aren't strong enough to register much anymore, leaving the user feeling down or uneasy whenever they go for a while without looking at porn. Pornography can certainly exacerbate depression, but there are many who have found victory over their depression by quitting porn. Living life through a lens. Having a good camera with you at all times is a great thing, but it makes it very hard to resist taking pictures at every given moment. Young people are constantly behind their smartphones, living vicariously. Don't get me wrong, the ability to capture moments in time is such an amazing thing, but eschewing the actual experience to get the best shots is a bit sad. Not to mention, many people base their whole lives and social interactions around getting cool pictures to impress people online. Relying on technology. While technological advancements are welcomed, there is a danger associated with letting this technology do everything for us, as we forget how to even do the most basic tasks for ourselves. Smartphones can be used for a myriad of things. Waking us up in the morning, planning a trip, fixing typos, things we used to be able to do but are now losing the ability and need to. We're becoming more and more domesticated and reliant on machines to complete simple tasks for us, which isn't so beneficial for the long-term benefit of humanity. One of the reasons we spend so much time on these apps is because they rob us of stopping cues. Stopping cues were everywhere in the 20th century. A stopping cue is basically a signal that it's time to move on, that it's time to do something different. For example, if you're reading a newspaper, you get to the end of it, you fold it away and you move on to the next task. Same with magazines, books, you get to the end of the chapter, you watch a TV show, you get to the end of it, you need to wait until the next week. But today there are no stopping cues. The newsfeed is bottomless, and if you check other sources, you can just keep going on and on and on and on. So what can you do about it? Start by being more conscious of how much time you actually spend on these devices, what you get out of it, and what you would rather be doing with your time. Make sure to spend more time with friends and family without going on your phone. Make sure to unplug and spend more time in nature, whether that's just going for a walk, meditating, or reading a book under a tree. Download internet restriction apps that will block websites for a set period of time. Find hobbies that you would like to start and dedicate time into doing the things you love that make you happy, that don't involve staring at a screen. Thanks so much for listening. This has definitely been a big problem in my life, and I'm trying to minimize my time online as much as possible this year. And I hope I can maybe inspire you to cut a few hours a day, because some people spend 7, 8, 10, 12 or more hours a day staring at a screen, and that can't be too healthy. So thank you for listening. Much love from me. Blessed be.